Excited to have you all on here. Today's session is called Policies That Protect All. It is part of our larger Transforming Workplace Culture series. Today is what we like to call a micro-learning because it doesn't take like a whole hour or a couple of hours to learn the content. It only takes 30 minutes and it packs a powerful punch because it's fast-paced and lots of information packed into the class. So we're so excited to have you all join us. And today's session is brought to you by Business Clarity by Design in Spencer, Wisconsin. And for those of you who don't know yet, Business Clarity by Design specializes in organization development, including succession planning for business owners and leaders. Our mission is to help owners and leaders maximize the value of their business through strategic, results-driven interventions. As certified financial and exit planning professionals, we elevate business development by aligning it to financial growth, employee engagement and education, HR's interventions, and a clear path towards that next chapter after you transition out of your business. And just a quick note about me, I am your speaker for today, Daisy Linville. I am the Director of Learning and Development here at Business Clarity by Design. I hold a master's degree in educational administration. I have worked in public education, healthcare administration, and organization development for a total of over 14 years. I'm passionate about lifelong learning and how a person's soft skills are actually really their power skills, which can give them a cutting edge in the workplace. And I reside in Marshfield, Wisconsin with my 2 teenage sons. Okay, so as I had stated earlier, this is part of our larger group of classes called the Transforming Workplace Culture series. And wow, we are already in month 4, Policies That Protect All. I just want to thank all of you who have already joined us the last 3 months for the previous 3 classes. We're so happy that you came back again this month. But if anyone's on the call today and you happen to miss any of the sessions from the last 3 months, they are available on demand right now on our website, businessclaritybydesign.com, with links to our YouTube channel, which is also Business Clarity by Design on YouTube. So go ahead and check those out if you missed any of the sessions. Okay, so for today's topic, we're going to jump right in. The topic is policies that protect all. And here are our learning objectives for today's session. As leaders today, we will discover the components of a great HR policy, and we will list some of those top HR policies that are currently in place at United States companies. We're going to identify the elements of 4 trending workplace policies. And I'm going to keep them a secret for now. You have to hang on the call to find out what all of those brand new 4 trending policies are in the workplace right now. We will understand how the purpose of each policy is actually to protect all stakeholders, from the owners to the leadership to the frontline staff and to the company at large. And then we will also recognize real-world examples of and evidence of positive outcomes from these current policies in action. But first off, I just love to kick off our learning sessions with an applicable quote. And this quote is by Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. And he said, "You cannot mandate productivity. You must provide the tools to let people become their best." And when we think of the word tools that he uses here, I think he's referring to the systems, the resources, the policies, the support that we are providing to our employees that sets them up for long-term success in the company. And it meets both the needs of like their individual careers, but also meets the needs of the company for the long term. So these, all of these tools, they definitely include great HR policies that protect all. And now just to define what makes a great policy, well, the Society of Human Resource Managers, which is a global management firm that is really at the top notch of the human resource practices, they say that the definition of a great policy is that it is a clear written framework that aligns with companies' values and strategy, ensures legal compliance, provides actionable guidance for stakeholders, protects fairness and civility, defines enforcement roles, and adapts to evolving workplace dynamics. And here at Business Clarity by Design, we always turn to SHRM for any needs with our clients that are HR related. So they are on the up and up of the very best HR policies globally. And they basically set the gold standard for HR around the world. Okay. And just a little bit more from SHRM here. We're going to break down what they just said about those components of a great HR policy. And number one, they say that it should align with the organization's goals and strategy, basically supporting your mission and your vision and your values, supporting your long term goals, and thus really supporting your brand reputation. They say that a great policy should ensure legal compliance and clarity. Obviously, we have to make sure that our policies are legal and we can't operate without fair labor laws or OSHA or medical leave laws. We can't discriminate, right? That sort of thing. And some of these policies are regulated by the government. They say that a great policy should balance the interests of all stakeholders. So that can mean the organization by minimizing legal and operational risk, and that can mean the employees by ensuring their fair, predictable treatment. They say it should provide clear, actionable guidance using plain language, define who is covered, what are some state or federal expectations, and then what are consequences for violations. They should promote respect, civility, and inclusiveness. There's a study done by SHRM that says that when there's not good workplace civility and inclusivity, it can actually result in violations and lowered productivity and lowered morale. So, really important to keep those in place. And then, of course, it should enable transparency and governance. And then finally, it should always adapt to evolving workforce trends. And that's what we're going to get in today with those new trending policies that are on the up and up, the coming around the world. But really quick first, here are some amazing statistics around just what a great HR policy can do for a company. And basically, these statistics prove that having great HR policies in place are going to protect you for the long haul. So some studies done by SHRM and Gallup and some others here said that 100% of US companies using strong HR policies reported improvement or improved legal compliance and reduced risk exposure. Organizations with strong HR policies tend to see a 46% increase in operational efficiency. Companies that implement clear and consistent HR policies report a 40% higher employee engagement and a 26% improvement in their performance compared to those companies that are using outdated or inconsistent practices. Employee satisfaction has been shown to be risen from in the 60% range to the 80% range in companies that implemented structured HR policies and systems and educated their employees on such policies. And then finally, they found strong HR policies have been found to reduce turnover by up to 70%. They protect institutional knowledge and trade secrets, which result in higher revenues by 30 to 40%. So, just some really powerful statistics there to encourage us all to have great HR policies in place in our businesses. And before we get into those new trending policies, I just wanted to give a quick rundown of some common or federally required policies that most businesses should have in place. This is serving for our leaders on the call who maybe you want to know what some of those top policies are that you should have. And that's going to come to us later in the session today when we give you our handout for the day. But basically, they are this. And real quick, the SHRM says that the average number of policies a mid to a large size company should have to cover all of their legal bases would be about 25 to 30 policies. So some of those policies are these: the equal employment opportunity, anti-harassment and non-discrimination, code of conducts and ethics, at-will employment statement, a good leave and time off policy, workplace health and safety policies, remote and hybrid work policies. That's becoming more common for a lot of companies. Attendance and punctuality, and then performance review and compensation policies. These have been proven to really kind of transform the engagement of an organization when you have a good performance review program in place for your employees. So we actually taught a class last month on, or 2 months ago, on performance reviews. So good information there, something to consider. Okay, but just a real quick moment of truth. And I would love for you all to go ahead and pop your answers into the chat right now, if you would please. I have a question for you, for any leaders or business owners on the call. Which of these policies here, of these policies, which one does your organization maybe need to revisit or revise soon? So you can go ahead and pop your comment into the chat, please. But maybe your comment is that you've already got it covered. Maybe you do a good policy review once a year and you want to comment. We've got it going on. You can say that too. So just get some group interaction here. I'll check what the comments say. Daniel says performance reviews. Okay, good one, Daniel. I agree. That's a powerful one to transform an organization pretty quickly with employee morale and engagement. All right. Any other thoughts on things you all want to revisit? Remote and hybrid work. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we should review that policy. I agree. Okay. Thank you so much for the group interaction, everyone. You can keep popping. Oh, PTO policy. Thank you for that. Excellent. Well, here we are. This is a little teaser screen for the top trending new up and coming workplace policy that protects all people. I kind of want everyone to guess what the name of this policy is. Try to look at the picture here. What is this guy doing? What do you think this policy could be called? And I'll give you a hint. It's becoming very prevalent. It is designed to protect employees and protect leaders and staff members, to protect their mental health and their loyalty to the company. But it also heavily contributes to the culture of trust that we've been talking about on these monthly calls, because we know a culture of trust is one of the #1 drivers of engagement and higher productivity and lower turnover. So what do you think that this policy could be called? You can also enter your answer into the chat. I'd love to see if anyone can guess the name of this trending policy. Any takers today? I'll give it 5 seconds. It's kind of like a bullying policy. Yes, Margie. Okay. Well, she's on the right track. I'll tell you what it is. It's called the no jerks policy. And it's a real policy. A lot of companies actually have it in place. Some companies actually call it the no a-holes policy. I won't say the full word today, but that is a policy that people are really clinging to lately. And basically, the policy says this: it's a zero tolerance in your company for toxic behavior. It says that any employee, regardless of their role, who bullies, harasses, or is consistently passive aggressive or demeans others or is condescending will be removed. And here's who it protects and why. It protects employees to be shielded from workplace hostility. It protects managers. It avoids that morale drain on the managers from them trying to always control toxic behaviors and put out fires. It protects leadership because it fosters a respectful company reputation, and it reduces turnover. It just decreases stress on the leadership. And then it protects the entire staff so that they have the right to feel safe and respected, even emotionally and mentally. And the process looks a little bit like this. So you educate all new hires on the parameters of this policy. You educate all existing employees yearly in a refresher training on behavior expectations. You conduct regular emotional intelligence and communications trainings with all staff. So maybe once a month, you extend your staff's lunch by 30 minutes to do a quick, how can we communicate positively with each other? Give them some tips and tricks, because it's easy to lose sight of that type of thing. It's easy as a staff to kind of fall into a rut of communicating harshly with each other. But we have found, and the research shows, just that regular quick education for your staff is very, very powerful. You can deploy the use of regular leader rounding and one-on-one check-ins just to check in with each employee, make sure everything's okay, make sure they're not getting bullied by somebody. You can deploy the use of regular employee coaching by managers. We taught a class last month on coaching programs and how that should be a company culture expectation, really driving a lot of positive outcomes in companies. You can investigate complaints quickly, take each instance seriously, set parameters for submitting complaints. And then finally, I love this last one: educate before you terminate. It's not like you're just firing people willy-nilly every time they are rude to somebody, right? No, you educate them. Maybe you get them into a coaching or a mentorship program. Maybe you even put them on an important performance improvement plan, and you kind of talk to them about what some changes need to happen, and you wait for the changes to occur. And then if they're not changing or they're being belligerent or something, then obviously you move to termination. But a recent study found that there's a 40% drop in productivity if people are working with unpleasant colleagues. It really does drain on people's mental health and their morale. So Highly encouraged to implement a no jerks policy. Some of the more popular United States companies that are using this policy right now that I found just through my research, JetBlue Airways, Southwest Airlines, and SpaceX, actually. So there's a lot of great articles online that you can look up about the no jerks or the no a-holes policy. And I found a great article on LinkedIn about it. So I encourage you guys to check that out. Okay, moving on to a new trending policy. This is a social media policy. It's been up and coming for the last several years. As social media usage gets more and more prevalent, companies have found they've got to implement a policy how people can use social media while on the clock and off the clock because it can really affect company reputation. So basically, the policy says that what you post online can affect your job and the company, and social media is public and permanent. So think before you share. A sample social media policy might look something like this. Do not share non-public company information, customer data, financial details, or trade secrets. Avoid posting content that is defamatory, obscene, harassing, discriminatory, or threatening. Do not slander, disparage, or defame the company, its employees, customers, or partners. So you're not bashing your employer, right? Like you're employed to work for them, to treat them good, to uphold the company name. You're not online blasting how much you disagree with your company's policies. So employees should not be doing something like that. Employees should also not be like posting pictures of them partying on spring break somewhere, right? Like you have the right to tell and communicate to your employees that that's not okay. So that's part of that respectful conduct section. Um, if you can tell them if you mention the company in your role, you have to make it clear that your views are your own. Do not speak on behalf of our company unless authorized. So you can put that in your policy. You can tell them this policy does not restrict your rights under applicable law, including the right to discuss wages, hours, or working conditions as protected by the National Labor Relations Act. And then professionalism and impact. Remember that social media posts are public and permanent. Off duty conduct that creates a hostile work environment may result in corrective action. So some companies you have to spell this out for your staff members, and that's okay. It's a trending thing, and many people are doing it. Okay, so moving on to the next trending policy. This one is my favorite, I think. It is upskilling slash reskilling slash professional development policy. This one is really important to both retaining and keeping your employees happy, but also ensuring the longevity and the long-term survival of your company because you want people to always be learning new things, which is helping your company to learn new things, which is helping you to stay relevant in the 21st century. So the policy can say things like this. The company will support employees who wish to upskill in areas that align with their current roles or future business needs. This is to keep our company relevant and growing, giving employees satisfying growth opportunities as well, because it's dually satisfying for the employee to have a new thing to do, right? To have more responsibility or a higher pay grade or a new title and to be advancing in the company. That's very important to employees. Employees may request access to internal training programs or online learning, workshops, certifications, but they have to be approved by the company first. For approved programs, the company might cover full or partial costs, and that's a great motivator for the staff. When feasible, managers might even allow flexible scheduling to enable participation. Maybe they're allowing you to take an hour at the end of the day once a week to engage in that online class or whatever it is. Employees can submit a request to their manager or HR outlining the desired training and how it supports their role or their career path. And then you can say that approved training should be completed within agreed timelines, like not like it's dragging on and on for weeks and weeks, or they keep not really putting too much effort into it and not doing well with it. But there should be timelines and parameters set around which trainings you're providing and paying for. So and then employees then should be encouraged to share their key learnings with the team. Many companies will send a delegate off to a conference to learn something new, but then that person has to come back and train the whole staff. And that's a great way to keep costs low as well. Okay, so before I tell you about our final trending policy for today, I want to take a moment to tell you a story about how this next policy is actually saving lives. Now, this policy is unique to other mental health policies that are common in the average United States company. And this policy was developed with the collaboration of executives, HR professionals, and employees at a giant United States construction firm called the Quest Group. It's spelled with a K, KWEST. the Quest group, and it is called their Under the Hard Hat policy. And this policy was developed because did you know that an average of 13 construction workers commit suicide every day in the United States? And that is the second highest industry suicide rate after members of the military. And that's why the Quest group decided that a strong mental health policy was going to be their number one objective in creating a culture of something they call a safety, people, and zero harm culture. So, a key pillar in this policy is that they encourage employees to share their current struggles, their personal struggles. They're reaching out to employees and saying, you can share your personal struggles, your workplace struggles, whatever you're going through in life. And if you're willing to share your story, we'll film you doing it. We'll send a professional film production company out to film your story, and we can send that video out to the rest of the staff. We can show it at a town hall meeting where the executives show up and they facilitate the session, they engage with the employees, and they just create that culture of it's okay to tell your story. It's okay to speak up when you're having struggles. And then it takes that stigma away, especially from that heavily male workforce where, men sometimes in the society are taught to be tough cookies and just keep pushing down the problems and the emotions. They're encouraging to talk about it. And the cool thing about this policy is that to date, the Quest group has experienced 0 suicides since the start of this program. And they plan to keep it that way. So just raising awareness and keeping those open lines of constant story sharing is what's keeping these people alive. Okay, so just some quick components of that under the hard hat policy. We already mentioned that is the second highest suicide rate in the nation for construction workers, and they've achieved 0 deaths. Some of the points look like this. New employees are informed of mental health services at the start of hire during orientation. No problem is too small to be discussed, and they communicate that we're all in this together and we're all a family, and it's okay to talk about your struggles. They are notified that there is on-demand free counseling available at the drop of a hat, no questions asked. There's free ongoing mental health services of all kinds to staff members and their families. We talked about that peer-led storytelling. Employee stories are shared via a film production company. And there's full leadership engagement. There's members of the C-suite. They travel all around making contact with the employees. And that is a huge, crucial piece of the puzzle when the staff can see that the senior leadership is really invested in this program and it's not just an afterthought. And there's always that promotion of help seeking within the organization, always advocating, always doing regular one-on-one check-ins so that they can catch problems early. They don't want any of their construction workers to commit suicide or their family members. So really cool stuff right there coming out of the construction industry. And maybe, it's something more important that companies should start really considering. Okay, so now I have a question again for you business owners and leaders out there. Are you currently experiencing any HR headaches? Think really for a moment. What keeps you up at night? And what do you wish could just get fixed and off of your plate, right? If it's HR related. We recognize that the pressure can be overwhelming. Wishing that all of those HR regulations and policies and procedures and training programs would just go away so that you can focus more on your business operations and your revenue streams, right? So just so you know, our office here, Business Clarity, we do have SHRM certified staff and consultants who can help you. We are just a phone call away. So if any of this tripped your trigger today, you can give us a call. And we are almost at the end of our content for today. So just a real quick review of those learning objectives. We discovered the components of a great HR policy. We listed all of the top policies around the United States. We identified the elements of 4 trending workplace policies, the no jerks, the social media, the upskilling, and the mental health. And we understand now how the purpose of each policy is really to protect all stakeholders, from owners to leadership to the frontline staff. And we see real world examples today of an evidence and those positive outcomes of how wonderfully that these current policies are performing in action for their people. So with that being said, I want to give everybody a 7-day leadership challenge. Right now, Melanie is going to drop a link into the chat for you all. It is a link to our useful resource for the day. It's a handout that we've created for you. So you can review those common and federally required lists of HR policies. You can take this with you and use that when you go back to your teams and make sure that you have all of those policies in place in your company. And you can then also on the same page review the top 4 trending policies and see if those are some that you might consider implementing in your company. You could set up a review meeting with your leaders and owners and set a date to go over your existing policies. You could create a list of new policies you want to either suggest, create, or implement and train staff on. You could have a discussion with a senior leader about strategy and how you will implement and enforce these policies. And then you could call us, Business Clarity by Design. We can help you get started on getting robust HR policies up and running in your organization. And just a final quote today to inspire us all in our leadership practice. This is a former CEO of GE, a global energy company. I'm sure we're all familiar with GE. And he said, aligning HR strategy with business strategy is the key to success. So that is a pretty shocking statement. If he says that aligning your HR strategy is a key to success for your business, that's quite shocking to me. So something to think about there to keep all of us leaders always thinking about our HR strategy. So with that, I'd just like to thank everyone again for joining us today. It's our hope that you found this content valuable. Do you wish that other leaders in your organization could have heard this content today? Or do you wish that even your staff and employees could maybe take a class like this, a quick class over their lunch, to learn how to communicate better with each other or get along better? We offer staff education and development courses. Or how about a performance management program getting stood up in your company or working on those HR policies? You can give us a call at Business Clarity by Design to book a free consultation today. And remember, business development programming equals business health and growth. So always be learning, always be implementing and developing. So with that, we say farewell for now. You can check us out online at businessclaritybydesign.com or financialclaritybydesign.com. We have a full staff of certified financial planners here to help you with all your personal financial planning and business financial planning needs. So just thanks again, everyone, for joining, and we hope to hear from you soon. So take care, everybody. Thanks again.